What's up, y'all? We're here for our weekly manifestation oracle message. We are using the Wisdom of the Hidden Realms oracle deck. Hope everybody's doing well. Let's see what we need to know for the week ahead. Ooh, Hawk Prince, spirit communication, paying attention. You know, I came in and I was honestly ranting and raving to myself about things, and the owls outside were like, I thought I was going to open the door and they were going to be on my front porch. It was wild. They were squawking and hooting and hollering, and they were in this triangular formation around the house. And I couldn't, I went out and I tried to look up in the tree and I couldn't find it, but it was so loud. And I was like, I know you're here telling me something. What are you here telling me? Are you warning me that, my thought process was off, or were you telling me that I was on to something, right? So when we are saying recognize the signs, recognize the synchronicities, pay attention. The Torah portion today, as commented on by the Zohar portion, was literally talking about bird messengers. And my teacher, A10, was talking about how wise people and righteous tzaddiks and prophets, they knew how to communicate with birds and they understood bird communication. And quite often it will be birds that will appear to me or that will be trying to get my attention, and I will listen to them and I will pick up on these messages. So I think that's really interesting. And I think it's interesting too that this particular card came through with the Hawk Prince, which is also a bird that's usually around my area. But spirit communication, paying attention. Pay attention to your dreams at night. When you have a dream and you can remember it, try to write down anything you can articulate. And there's this one website that I really like. It's very rudimentary. It looks like somebody's aunt made it in the 90s. It's very, very basic, and it's always under construction. And it is you have to it's mostly dysfunctional now, so you have to use the A through Z tab at the top, but it's called dreammoods.com. And the symbolic explanations for the things in the dreams are so accurate, at least when I have looked up my dreams, and I always use that one. But if you can just remember a word and look up that word, there will be different scenarios surrounding that image, and what that stands for. So pay attention to your dreams. Pay attention to things that a person will say to you, like a stranger in passing, and they might have no idea that they are giving you some vital message that you needed. Pay attention to, for instance, if you accidentally overhear a conversation and someone says something that strikes you and it's synchronistic with something you've been preoccupied with, pay attention to those things. Don't just pay attention, take them in and do something with it. All right. What else do we need to know for this week? Ooh, Queen of the Light, illumination, enlightenment, and celebration. I love this. So the illumination and enlightenment, it's a lot of times for me as a person who does have a lot of illumination and I'm on a path to enlightenment. I wouldn't call myself enlightened, but I think that the more you become aware, the more you have eyes to see and ears to hear, sometimes it gets harder to celebrate because you're open and you're feeling and you're seeing things and you're feeling empathy and sympathy for things that other people can just block out and they don't notice. So I think it becomes an active choice that we have to exercise our muscles to try and protect our ability to celebrate. I realized that this week when, my birthday's coming up, and I honestly didn't even have enough enthusiasm to muster putting myself out there to invite people to come to my house. I don't necessarily have great luck with birthdays always. And I'm kind of in a low state, and I was like, wow, I don't know if I can take it if like I, try to get everybody to come over, spend money on, having extra food around, and then like it just doesn't happen, and I'll have to clean and do all these extra chores to have everybody over, and is it even worth it? And I thought, last year I didn't really celebrate my birthday, and it was really sad and really depressing, and I wanted to, it's just there wasn't really anybody around that was close to me to participate in it. And I don't know, this year I just was like, you know what, even if it's just for me, I'm just going to do it on my own and put myself out there. But it is worth it to like make an effort and not just give in, not just throw in the towel, even if you're only celebrating, yourself or celebrating, your garden or something small in your life that means something to you. But I think that it's not easy to just feel joy. I had to work hard in my life to cultivate the ability to have unprompted joy. And I know like me and my friends at work were thinking like, oh my gosh, I can't wait until, who's not in office anymore. And we can just take a breath and there's not going to be such imminent threat. It's like, yes, the world has problems, but it feels like someone is maliciously like trying to hurt everyone right now. There's so many threats. It's like that psalm where David says, how many are my enemies that circle round about me? I will not fear the 10,000s that circle around me. And it's something I have to remind myself every day, but the worries circle around. And back to the thing, like, waking up when, this isn't the case anymore. It's going to feel like such a relief. And I said, yeah, I'll feel unfettered joy again. Just unprompted joy. And I have to get into a state where I can cultivate that now. And I've worked towards it all my life for years and years and decades to be able to generate joy. And joy is something different than happiness. Happiness is conditional. And happiness comes and goes, and happiness depends on circumstances. But joy is something that it's like an act of defiance. You choose it, and you have to work at it, and you have to shift your thoughts and your emotions, and you have to recalculate and reconfigure yourself back towards joy. You keep having to turn your compass back to joy. And it is a choice. And we have to be able to feel or hold on to joy even when it's like we have to hold joy in one hand while we carry pain and grief and sorrow and moral outrage in the other. Marianne Williamson was talking today about, and she was right. She was like, we can't like direct our anger or outrage and just kind of focus it on like the president, because it's systematic. It's greater than that. And I was thinking, yeah, I know. Like, I don't like the guy, but I don't blame it all on him. It's like, it's the system. It's all the people that add to this whole system that is flawed, and all the other problems that we have in the environment and in, social justice and all of those things. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, all right. A lot of us have already been there. A lot of us know that it's not just at a person, it's in the whole system. Because you know what? People are like, do you think he'll get impeached? Do you think he'll get blah, blah, blah? Oh, what do you think about this person getting fired? And what I always say is, it doesn't matter. The agenda is still the agenda. They're still going on with the same plan. They're just mad that these people aren't doing the plan better. They haven't changed what they want. They haven't changed how they feel. They haven't changed their beliefs or their values or their motives. They just are mad that the people that they have put in charge of their agenda aren't doing it good enough. So it's not like you defeat people think like, oh, well, when they defeated Hitler, like the Nazi movement died. Well, no, it didn't actually. It just dispersed and moved and festered in other ways, and they went by other names. And this is the resurgence of the Nazi movement. So the only way that we are going to find peace is to find it within the fact that we're in this situation and there's kind of no escape. Right? Like Kabbalah teaches that, we reincarnate. So if we died today, we'd be reborn again, but starting now, in this horror, being born a child into this world that we're living in at this moment. People who commit suicide, they're not getting out of their storyline. They're put right back in it. And you go back to the same situation that you tried to get out of because you didn't complete the work. You didn't finish your workbook, right? We have these assignments and they're sort of inescapable. So it's like you almost have to just resign yourself to inner peace and fulfillment and happiness, and not even happiness, but joy. And so how do we find that? How do we cultivate that? And I think that radical surrender, I learned that when my best friend Trace died in an accident, it was like 2015, about 10 years ago. And it was one of those things that was so final. There was no negotiating. I didn't have any choice but to accept that and to make my peace with it and move forward. And so I think that we have to make peace with things and move forward. I was just thinking when I got home, the reason why I'm like, my nose is running, like the reason why the owls were squawking at me is because like I'm just concerned about my life. I'm like if I get a second job, I can't do this. And then I'm like, well, what am I doing? I'm talking to a couple of people, and maybe there's a few random people that pop in and out, and it's like where it's not growing, it's not going anywhere. It feels like the people that are watching, like some of them might appreciate the concepts or the deep interest in learning, or maybe they just enjoy my personality. I don't know, but I'm worried for my future. And I'm like, God, you got to do something for me, because I want to build a Substack, but I'm like, if I can't get people to even like the video for free, like why do I think that they're going to come over to Substack and pay like $5 a month, I have a deck that I want to publish. It's like, I'm starting to feel crushed under the weight, and do I go look for another career? Do I do this and that? And it's like the reason why I have the job that I do at this restaurant is because it allows me the time to do this. And so, yeah, it's all of us are in this kind of situation right now where we're trying to navigate like the heaviness of this world, and the only way that we're going to be able to survive it is to maintain our buoyance, to maintain our joy, right? And it's a muscle that we have to exercise and choose. And there are things that we can do that, the things that give us small bits of joy during the day. I know for me, when I spend time studying like the Gospels and the ancient scriptures and ancient wisdom, the Torah, like I feel a lot of joy and peace when I do that. And I think that doing that is what I want to spend all my time doing. And I think when you do that, you don't just take it in to make your own life more palatable, but you do it so that you can share that illumination with others. And you can share the path of the light with other people. That's why we are learning as Kabbalah students, or as I learn as a Kabbalah student, that the point is to create myself into a vessel that wants to receive for the sake of sharing, not receive for the self alone. And it's not just resources to receive, but when we receive wisdom, when we receive insight, when we receive healing, when we receive any blessing from God, it's not just to make our life better. It's about how we can use that to make other lives better as well. And I think a lot of people spend their whole life just asking God, treating God like Santa Claus, and telling him, hey, this is what I want. These are my demands. Like, give them to me. Make all this stop. Make my inconveniences go away. Make my pain go away. And what we don't realize when we do that is that you are throwing the lesson book back in God's face and saying, I don't want to take responsibility in my life to utilize the experiences that I've given to transform and alchemize. I want you to do it for me, and I'm feeling like I should be living very pleasant circumstances, and you don't see the value of what the difficulty does to make in you, or the potential it has to reveal so much light. You just want to go to church to anesthetize, or you go and you think that if you go show up, if I do this, then you'll give me this. It's very transactional, and I think that we have to learn to understand our relationship with God in a more less of a baby relationship where I'm taking, wah, I'm hungry, give me my bottle, change my diaper, right? Like an infant is just taking, like they're not really giving you anything. And so as we grow in our emotional maturity, it's not about what you can give me, but what can I do to serve? What can I do to share? What can I do to help? But when you feel like you're giving and you're trying to share and there's no vessel to receive, it can get very disillusioning. But also it's interesting too, because the Creator will never leave you feeling alone, and will never give you more than you can handle. And just this week in my Kabbalah class, the whole point of the lesson was, if you are actually doing the real work and you're spreading real light and real wisdom, then you will have opposition. You will have a hard time getting it out there. If you don't receive any opposition in what you're doing, then you're probably not doing anything that's actually like tipping the cosmic scales on behalf of the souls of mankind, right? You might be spinning wheels. The devil might be keeping you sated and pacified, just so you don't ever focus on the real work, right? So as down as I get sometimes, and as disheartened and tired, understand that those are usually the most important moments where I have to feel being on the brink of defeat. I have to feel I am nothing without the Creator. I can exhaust all of my energy and do everything I can, and I am barely moving an inch, that it's the Creator that moves through me, and the Creator that blesses me, and the Creator that gives me my every breath, right? The Creator that put me on earth for a purpose, not just to be happy. We're here to be happy. No, we're not. We're here to transform our darkness. And hopefully with our transformation, when we are lit up, that lights other people as well. I will say this, on my other YouTube channel that I posted my first video. It was just like a talking on camera, sharing my ideas about something. That video got just as many likes as anyone on this video did so far. So I'm encouraged that maybe a fresh channel might be a different experience. The camel boy. All right. Small steps, asking for help, taking it step by step, right? When you're at the end of your rope, can you make it 30 more minutes? Can you make it to the end of the shift? Can you make it till the end of the day? Can you make it to the end of the week. Maybe the end of the week's too far ahead, but can you make it to the end of the hour, the end of the day? Asking for help from the Creator, from God, from the people around you, right? And maybe you don't even need to ask for help, but maybe what you need is some real quality time, like with a like-minded person, having, heart-to-heart conversation, or just spending some time just having fun with, friends that know how to make you laugh. And sometimes that's what we need more than anything. We don't need an answer or solution. We just need some reprieve. And so sometimes in this world and the way it is now, it's so heavy. You're like, well, gas is this much and this is very expensive and I have to drive over there and I'm going to have to pay to park and I'm already tired and then I won't have time to do this and that. But it's honestly, sometimes when we just make that effort, it fills us up and gives us more life force to keep going. Last week, my nephew had his Special Olympics Day. And it was out at this high school in like rural area where on the other side of like a couple of towns where my family lives. So it was a pretty far drive, and I knew it was going to be a gas, and I knew I was going to have to rush back to work and get up really early, and it was, but I wanted to go because I wanted him to feel like it was important to me to be there for him, and that he was important to me, and that was a day worth making an effort for. And I wanted to be there to cheer for him. And then I got there and I was so happy that I went. And it was such a warm and friendly and positive day. And his little friend didn't have anybody there to cheer for him because his family was working and nobody was there. And he said that. He was like, nobody came for me. And we said, we came for you. Because you were born we came to cheer for you. But it was like the act of sharing did more for me, at least as much for me as that did for that little boy who may not have fully taken it in, but he knew that we cared about him too. But it like I took so much away from that day, and it took effort to get there, and it took resources to get there, but it was worth it. It was worth it. And that day helped me more than it did them. So take small steps. Ask for help. Ask for help from the angels. The angels won't interfere and like mess with our free will unless we ask them to help us. And so ask them to help with everything. Nothing's too small. Ask the angels to be your auto mechanic. Ask the angels to help give you a safe parking spot. Whatever it is, get the angels involved. Have the angels send me an answer about a direction to go in. Help me find the next step, right? And then those angels will arrange to send you a person or something in that kind of like physical materialized way that will be the vehicle to help you. All right, and the last card we have, Gaia's Garden. I saw this when I was holding the deck and talking, but fruition, abundance, and reaping what you sow. So many times right before there's a big blessing, we are tested with endurance and with our faith and with our belief. And we're tested in terms of our determination and how committed we are to something. If the devil can mess with you and get you to quit, then the devil's going to keep messing with you. But eventually, when the devil sees that you're rock solid, that you are not giving up, that you can't be swayed, that you can't be dismayed, then they finally get out of the way. And, the opposition ultimately is here to serve the light, because in the opposition, that's when we overcome our weakness, and we overcome the temptations, and we overcome that darkness, and we rise up and we reveal the greatest light of our soul. If you're never challenged, if you never have moments where you're like me, you're just like, I'm on the brink, then it means you're not making waves, you know? And if you're out there and you are committed to doing something of value and sharing, then you're gonna go up against challenge. You're going to be met with opposition and adversary. And that's a good sign, not a bad sign. So just like the cat posters used to say in the 90s, hang in there, baby. We are going to keep on trucking, whatever come what may. So fruition, abundance, and reaping what you sow. I love that. And the number on the card is 18. And when you combine that's 9. And that is the numerology of 9 is the coming together of the fruition, the culmination. 10 is the overflow. 9 is the completion, right? So very encouraged to see that. And I like her cornucopia horns, because it is Aries season and she looks like a ram, and it's the last few days of Aries season. And I kind of feel like sometimes Aries season, I don't get to make the most of it. It goes by so fast. There's so many obligations that pull me in different directions, and I don't really get to feel the height of my birthday season. A lot of times I feel I get to really enjoy Libra season in October. But I feel like sometimes by the time I get to even gather my senses and enjoy Aries, it's like it's my birthday and I'm on the last day of Aries. So it's like, so I feel like right now there's an Aries stellium, and the ability to manifest is so potent and so strong that I've literally been having thoughts that materialize. And so I think it's important right now that we don't waste this opportunity. And if you can take an action towards something that you've been trying to manifest, if you can at least get your consciousness crystal clear and very strong in that direction with the feeling of passion and enthusiasm when you're thinking about it, that will help a lot. And if you can let go of any doubt or resistance to that thing coming true, or your belief that thing can come true, then that removes those, the weight of what's holding, causing resistance. And also one of the lessons that's been coming up in the Torah this week, and what part of the bird messengers were about, were evil tongue. An evil tongue can be a snare and a stumbling block for the fruition, the fruits of your manifestations. And so sometimes evil tongue is saying too much and saying negative things, or, over talking in a way that's like, you're just listening to yourself talk and you're filling the world with empty noise that gets on everybody's nerves, right? There's taking and you're giving, right? But sometimes evil tongue is the things that we don't say, the truth that we don't reveal, that stays hidden, that stays obscured, the light that goes under the bushel basket. Right? So it depends on why you're talking. Are you talking from an egoic place, or do you have genuine, value to share, and you just have this sense of humility or false sense of humility that's keeping you small and quiet? It's probably, everybody has a mixture of both. We oscillate, right? But is there something that you need to be saying, or something that you're trying to manifest and it's thwarted? Then maybe take extra care in mind of the words that you're using and what you're talking about, and what you choose to say, or what you're holding back that you should say. All right, that's all for tonight. We'll be back together tomorrow for our weekly alchemy message. Until then, peace be with you guys. Ciao.